If you're going to buy any of these games, you may as well save an extra 5% over at switchup.gg by buying your eShop credit there. You'll instantly get 5% in cashback, and we get a tiny little kickback from Nintendo. Nice one. Sometimes after a massive sale, you can get a few gems that are kind of pushed out a couple more days. So that's what this list is made up of. Now, I think we can all agree that last couple of weeks on the eShop was absolutely ridiculous in terms of savings. And let's just hope you can get through this list without seeing anything you like. Congrats to the person who won a free game. Your name is on the screen right now. I can probably add one more Savaloy to your collection. Remember, if you like your retro handheld devices and other tech bits, I do have my hobby channel, Marketech. There'll be a link in the top pinned comment as well as the description, but only head over really if you enjoy that type of stuff. And the same goes for Glen's hobby channel, GB Bricks, which is aimed at adult Lego fans. So if you're one of those, head over there. Alright, what are the best games on sale this week? Well, my name is Mark Walker. Welcome back to SwitchUp. Now let's find out. First up, we finally got a UK sale on Fragrant Path and Papaya's Story, which goes on from the 2nd to the 4th, and it's 75% off. So only a 48-hour sale, quite short, but these are the same guys that are supporting the channel by providing some Switch OLEDs to give away. Go check out the dedicated video we did the other day on this game and its massive redemption arc. There'll be lots of people that say, oh, Fragrant Path, that's the 3DS game that basically came out and it was like 95% cut. But there's a lot of reasons behind that, and the developers actually worked to provide even more content than was originally promised, completely free of charge, has been supporting a charity, and yeah, go check out the full video. We obviously would only support someone who deserves it, and this developer definitely does. A really fun tactics game, tons of content in here, and as I say, 75% off in the UK for the next 48 hours. Vampire Survivors is down 15%. If you're unaware, there's a ton of new content available for that one as well. This is absolutely just such a good game, stupidly addictive. You control a character and basically every set number of enemies that you kill, you're allowed to power it up. And while it might not sound fun because you're not actually controlling the weapons, they automatically lock on and fire, it's amazing. It's difficult to kind of articulate why it's so good. I guess it's like classic arcade gameplay, just so quick and easy to pick up, but actually to master it's quite difficult. Tons of stages, tons of different characters to unlock, upgrades to purchase. Great game. Cocoon, which was from one developer, is another example of just indies done right. That's down 40% at the moment, and although it only goes on until November the 5th, is an easy recommendation. It took a while to get some significant drops in price, but I get it. The person's worked hard on it. It's a very good game, but I don't think it quite gets the recognition it deserves. It does some very clever camera work to kind of play with perspectives and scale, but it's a fun experience, and as I say, that sale does go on until November the 5th. No Man's Sky, which recently had its new update, another free content update that added in a whole new expedition where you go to planets, it adds in fishing. Like, that's the game that just keeps on giving. 60% off, it's matching its cheapest ever price. A real triumph really for Halo Games, and I think I might be right in saying the most patched game on Switch. I mean, if you know one that's been more patched than this, let me know, but I think they're on like update 50 or something crazy. The sale for that goes on until November the 6th. SIFU is down 60% as well. That also matches its cheapest. This has a much longer sale. It goes on until November 15th. I absolutely loved it. It was basically, it's like the game version of, you know, the new Daredevil series when he's going down the corridor and there's that famous scene, which actually is kind of copied from Old Boy, if you've seen that film. Well, this is like the game version of that. The combat is so clever. Like, it relies not only on quick timing and parrying, but it also relies on the age of the character, because the older you get, the more wise he gets, and that then in turn unlocks different skills, but he also loses the physical side of his strength. You can permanently lock skills by putting points into it, but that comes at quite a hefty cost. So yeah, there's this constant balance. Like, when you die, you just get 1 year older, which actually would be quite a nice system, wouldn't it, for real life? I'd like that. You get like a life and then you die and you just come back 1 year older. Although actually, no, that'd be a bit, that'd be terrifying, wouldn't it? You'd like wake up as a baby, a 2-year-old, and be like, what the heck is going on? Anyway, I digress. SIFU is 60% off. We do have a full review if you want to check that out. Now, Risk of Rain did have another edition come out, but its base edition 75% off, and in the EU there's a significant discount there, down 75% all the way until November the 17th. It's a side-scrolling roguelite. The premise is pretty straightforward. You like beat enemies on the stage and then you trigger a boss event and you got to survive for a set amount of time, but man, it takes again a lot to master, and a great game. Bear and Breakfast, one of my favourites on Switch actually, despite some real silly control choices. You have to set up your own little bed and breakfast, and you play as a little bear who leaves home and decides that this is a good idea. You feel a bit like Yogi Bear, you know, like head out into the forest, and then you find this abandoned B&B, and you just think, oh yeah, this is a good idea. Let's take this over. Let's get cracking. And as you progress throughout the story, and it does have kind of a storyline, you get larger and larger B&Bs to do up. You end up in like the Arctic tundra doing up one over there. You get new things added in. Great game. Nice soundtrack as well, actually. I own the soundtrack on vinyl. So at 40% off. It only goes on until November the 6th though, so you have to be quick. Now, Ghosttrick, Phantom Detective, that's half price, matching its cheapest ever. An easy pickup. That goes on until November the 10th. This one comes highly recommended from Glen, as well as you lot. I did mention it as one of his picks a few months back, and everyone was like, yeah, it's an absolute essential. Brilliant game, you should own it. Now, the US did have a sale on this one, but unfortunately by the time you see this, it'll be over. It comes from Capcom. It's about 12 to 15 hours long, so it's not too crazy, but it comes from the creator of the Ace Attorney series, so it gives you kind of an idea of the styling. But personally, I think from what I've seen of Glen playing it, I just prefer it. And it starts out in such an interesting way with the main protagonist literally dying. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, this has hooked me. No objections there. Death's Gambit Afterlife at 45% off. One of, if not the top 3 Metroidvanias we have on Switch. Another one that's another redemption story. This team suffered not a similar fate to Fragrant Story that we spoke about before, but they did release a game that the community were like, hang on, this isn't what you said you were going to release. It's not quite where it should be. And then they went ahead and added the Afterlife Edition, which adds a ton of extra content in, entirely new features to the game. And it's brilliant. Great combat, which did remind me a little bit of Guacamelee, and that's no negative. Very fast paced, but also that dark, gritty style. You know, I must admit, I do like dark, gritty Metroidvanias. What was that one I reviewed the other day on the channel? Was it like Neuro Void or something like that? No, Void Raw, that was it. That's a great game. They've just patched that up, actually, and it's now like flawless 60 across the board. Cool, I really do get distracted, don't I? I just start jabbering away. But yeah, Death's Gambit Afterlife at that price. If you're a Metroidvania fan, you should definitely own it. That sale goes on until November the 6th. Lorelli and the Laser Eyes. This is a really interesting one because it's a bit of a, like a wonder team. It's like a wonder indie team. They've made some great games. And this one, Glen and I played for an interesting games video, and we were enjoying it. It really does hit you with a lot of puzzles, like a lot of puzzles. Almost to the point where you're like, holy moly, I can't keep track of anything here. But then as the flow kind of kicks in, you get a rhythm going. Very well designed, actually. Nice and smooth gameplay, interesting art style, and a cool story. 25% off, that's the cheapest that's been. That sale does only go on until November the 4th though, so yeah, you've got like a day or two. Trek to Yomi, which Glen reviewed on the channel, that's 70% off, its cheapest ever price. Only in the American region, sadly, but until November the 13th, but it has a really nice cinematic style. I guess it feels a little bit like a full game, story-driven game version of Bushido Blade from way back in the day. Nice soundtrack, perhaps sometimes a little bit more style over substance, but still Glen did enjoy it. He just pointed out a couple of flaws and said, you know, I'll be waiting for a sale. So at $5.99, 70% off. Certainly, I don't think he'd argue with that one. And then we have our hidden gem before we have a few very cheap options in our Savaloy Selection. Have you managed to get away without seeing anything that tickles your fancy just yet? Are you in that stage where you're like, as long as he doesn't show anything that I have never thought of, I'll be fine? You might be alright. Let's see. The hidden gem this week is called Once Upon a Jester. A really funny adventure that's 40% off. It features a fully voice-acted cast, and you literally play as Jester. You're joined by your best mate Sock, traveling around the kingdom to improvise shows and perform on a variety of different stages. It's full of jokes, singing, you're trying to impress the audience as well when you're doing that. But then outside of that, you've got this full kind of open, semi-open world adventure game, and they have this master plan to outperform all other artists in the kingdom. Very funny, good voice acting, even though it does have a little bit of that Euro jank. But I would class this as a hidden gem. It's developed by Bonti Avond, and it's published by Crunching Koalas, who have a really good track record on Switch. Just a 757 megabyte download, not the longest game, about 3 to 5 hours. Perfect really if you've got a massive backlog, a nice little weekend game. The cheapest it's ever been, as I say, 70% off until November the 13th. Our Savaloy Selection this week then. Just 4 games, super cheap prices. Here they are, the same price as a Savaloy or a Fetcook or some other very cheap, very cheerful, junk food that you might enjoy. Down in Bermuda is down 95% to 99 pence. It's full of different puzzles, environmental and other. You're collecting various things. It's actually from the same team that created the game, you know, Agent A, Puzzle in Disguise, which was way better than it had any right to be. So that gives you an idea. Blade of Darkness, a classic, aka Severance in the EU. 3 different playable characters, slicing limbs off, old school PC action adventure. Great game. That's 80% off, or 82% off, I think. Down to $2.65. Oxenfree 2, if you missed it last week, just get it before it ends. 90% off, $1.99. It's just crazy. Like, you should definitely own that. And Figment 2, another nice adventure game. Has co-op play as well if you want to play with a friend. 90% off, $1.99. Easy suggestions, easy pickups. As is The Last Campfire, also 87% off at its cheapest ever price, down to $1.99, or at least matching its cheapest. A cracking lineup there, I think we can all agree. Did you escape unscathed? Has your backlog grown? Or do you just watch out of some morbid fascination with your own willpower to resist? I know that's me, and I'm the one creating it. Alright, as I said at the start, if you want to check out our hobby channels, if you like Lego, then go check out Glen's one, and if you like tech and gadgets and stuff, my one, all the links are down there. A thank you to our Patreons, our members, to Asden, who edits these videos. Go check out his channel, Grinning Wolf Games, for a variety of indies and stuff. Yeah, good place to go over there. And as always, for all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers, guys. See ya!